What's up, peeps? It's me. I'm back. And I just found out this. I just got this bit of information from one of my subscribers. Her name is Jackie M. And she just dropped this off on me. So since she dropped it, I decided I was going to, check into it right quick. And it's so good that I decided that I would bring this to y'all now. It's 2:07 p.m. over here on the East Coast. I got to be at work at 4 o'clock, so I got to make this quick. But I just had to come and bring y'all my take on this information. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's being safe. Hope everybody's being smart. So let's get right into this, okay? Chad Willer's girlfriend, Alleah Taylor. That's her name. The black girl that he tried to kill. Because we're not going to talk about him just beating her up. It went all beyond that. He actually tried to kill her, and he should be charged with attempted murder. But anyway, her name is Alleah Taylor, right? And she did an interview with CBS this morning. And I just want to get into a little bit of this interview. I don't know whether the clip that I saw is the whole entire interview, but it's enough for us to talk about it. And I just want to get into this interview, and I just want to get into some things that she pointed out in the interview that other people may have missed. Maybe they didn't, but they may have missed. Okay, so let's get right into this. Now, this is coming from CBS this morning. It's an article, February 10, 2012. Chad Willer's ex-girlfriend says NFL player marveled she was still alive after alleged abuse. Now they're saying it's alleged abuse the way they saw her face. But anyway, here we go. Alleah Taylor, the woman who says she was brutally attacked by former Seattle Seahawks player Chad Willer, is speaking out for the first time since the incident. In a CBS This Morning exclusive interview, she told CBS's News Jericka Duncan, and Jericka Duncan is a black woman. However, I think it's really, really, really important to note and kind of funny that, usually Gayle King or Robin Roberts or one of them will do one of these type of interviews. And I just think it's real funny that neither one of them interviewed her. That this Jericka Duncan, a nice, young lady that put it all out on social media and everything, it's funny that they pulled her in to do this interview. And I was wondering, because Gayle likes to interview black men and she likes to interview black women where she thinks she can get a black woman to say something against a black man or whatever the case may be. But it's funny, since this was a black woman that was actually speaking on something that a white man had done to her. Funny how Gayle and Robin Roberts and some of the other ones stayed away from this and let somebody else interview this young woman. Okay, but I just thought that I'd point that out because we know Gayle and her buddy Oprah are real big on doing whatever they can to try to degrade and criminalize black men. So, like I said, it just seemed real interesting to me that all of them stayed away from this one because this is a black woman who's actually talking about what a white man did to her. Okay? Now, let's keep going. She told CBS News' Jericka Duncan that she will have to deal with the events that allegedly transpired. And see, CBS just keeps on throwing all this allegedly out there and all of that, knowing full well that this man did this because he actually apologized for it, actually came on Twitter and tweeted an apology for it. So all of this alleged this and she says that she was brutally attacked by him and all of that. That's CBS still trying to provide some kind of cover for this Chad Willer dude, even though he himself has already admitted that he did it when he came out and tweeted about it. The police know he did it because they tried to arrest him and had a hard time arresting him right there on the scene. The police walked in and he was in the bathroom with her. When the police got in, he was in the bathroom with her when they broke into the house. So, you know, they can stop with all this alleged this and seemingly this. Again, like I said, like we've always said, if this was a black man, it wouldn't be no alleged. It wouldn't be no, you know, innocent until proven guilty type stuff. With black men, they come right on out and you guilty automatically just based on what in, especially if the person accusing you of something is white, then you just automatically guilty. So they still trying to provide what little cover they can for this dude, okay? I still have to regularly get my concussion checked. This is Alleah talking. I have bolts and steel and a steel plate I'm going to have for the rest of in my arm forever. I'm going to have to deal with this the rest of my life, she said. Photos of Taylor's injuries were leaked and made national headlines. She said she was injured after Wheeler, her then boyfriend, attacked her. Taylor said the pair dated for 6 months with barely an argument. Now, this is the part that I want y'all to pay close attention to, okay? We were like best friends. We did everything together. I even introduced him to my family. We would babysit my nephew together, she said. But according to Taylor, that all changed on January the 22nd, starting with a text from Wheeler that he'd shaved his head. He just loved his long hair, refused to cut it, and it surprised me and it worried me, Taylor recalled. I came home and Chad was trying to play it off as if he just kind of cut his hair. But then as time went on throughout the day, he started going downhill emotionally. Okay? Pay attention to that dude cutting his hair just before he attacked her. Okay? Pay attention to that. And pay attention to the fact that they won't show you his mugshot. They have not posted his mugshot. We cannot see his mugshot because they just won't post it. They won't post that mugshot, won't let us see that mugshot. Now, of course, if it was somebody black, it would be plastered all over the place. You know, as soon as you hit enter on your computer, it would pop up if it was a black man. But they will not let you see his mugshot. Now, I want y'all to hear what she just said in her own words. So just listen.
Boyfriend Chad Wheeler. Taylor says the pair dated for 6 months with barely any arguments.
We were like best friends. We did everything together. I even introduced him to my family. We would babysit my nephew together.
But according to Taylor, that all changed on January 22nd, starting with a text from Wheeler that he'd shaved his head.
He just loved this long hair, refused to cut it, and it surprised me and it worried me. I came home and Chad was trying to play it off as if he just kind of cut his hair, but then as time went on throughout the day, he started going downhill emotionally.
Taylor later told police it was the beginning of a manic episode, adding she knew Wheeler suffered from bipolar disorder.
Now I want to stop here because it has been reported that they lived together, right? I'm kind of questioning, okay, y'all only dated for 6 months and you just heard her say in her own words that she came home and he was trying to play it off that he had cut his hair. So, you know, I'm kind of wondering what that dynamic was that she was already living with him after just 6 months of dating, because that's not just dating. If you have actually moved in with this person and y'all live in the exact same place, that's not just dating. That's taking it above and beyond just dating. Okay, but it has been reported that they live together, and you heard her, like I said, you just heard her in her own words say she came home. So let's keep going.
Disorder. Then, according to Taylor, Wheeler snapped into a dark place.
He stood up and he told me to bow down, and I asked him why, and he didn't respond. He just told me to bow down again, and I told him no, and he immediately grabbed my neck and that's when things began.
Do you recall what happened after that?
When he grabbed my neck, he threw me on the bed, and I remember looking up at him.
And for you guys who haven't seen this, of course, this will be linked in the description box so that you can see it. But just let you know that you can still look in her eyes and tell that she's been through some kind of severe trauma, because the inside of one of her eyes is still the blood vessels have not cleared up. It's still real red, and inside on the inside of one of her eyes, her face is still swollen, and of course her arm is in the sling, the little slingy thing. So yeah. I just want y'all to know you can still look in her face and tell that something went on with her, right? You can still see it in her face.
I've been asking him, please stop, Chad. It's me. And I just immediately knew the look in his eyes. That was it.
Taylor, who is 5'9", says that's when Wheeler, 6'7", weighing more than 300 pounds, tried to choke her. According to Taylor, she blacked out twice before the attack was over.
I had touched my face, and I looked down, and there was blood on my hand. And I remember getting up and running to the bathroom. Chad was standing by the bed, by the doorway, and he was sipping his smoothie. And was like, "Wow, you're still alive."
Please help me now. I'm gonna die.
Taylor says she then locked her.
That's the 101. That's the 911 call she made, and what she says is, "Please help me
now.
Please help me now. I'm going to die. I'm going to die." That's what she says. That's what you can hear her whispering to the 911, right? And she looks nothing like herself. And whoever styled her or whoever helped her get ready for this interview should have chosen a much better wig, because this wig she got on is just it's ridiculous. But anyway, let's continue.
Taylor says she then locked herself in the bathroom, called 911, and texted her family and Wheeler's father for help. According to police reports, it took 3 officers and 2 sets of handcuffs to restrain Wheeler. Police said Wheeler kept apologizing as he was arrested. Do you think that...
So, see, even the police are talking about how he kept apologizing, how much trouble they had arresting him, the whole 9 yards. But you got CBS and some other news outlets still carrying on with this alleged business. And the whole world knows that this man didn't just beat this woman, that this man tried to kill this woman. But I'll let y'all finish listening to the interview on your own time. I just wanted to point that out, and I want to, and again, I want to point out that this dude shaved his head just prior to doing this attack on her. And in the video, you will see the pictures of him in court with his head shaved. Now, he also went to court and pled not guilty. He pled not guilty to all the charges. Now, this is the man that has come out, that the police say was profusely apologizing, that has come on Twitter and apologized and talked about how remorseful he was and all of that. But yet he still pled not guilty to all of the charges. In court, he pled not guilty. And I also want you to hear, is one more thing I want you to hear. And what I want you to hear is what one of the anchors from CBS had to say after they did this little clip of the interview.
And you look at the numbers, her height, his height, her weight, his weight.
6'7", 5'9", yeah.
A terrifying change in his demeanor.
Yes.
A shift, 6 months of dating, and then suddenly that?
Yeah, and she said not even an argument. You could tell she was very conflicted because she cared so much about him.
Yeah.
But this is one of those difficult stories to tell, because it's not just the domestic violence, but also recognizing that there is a mental health component in this.
Yes, it's interesting that she had to say to him at one point, "Chad, it's me."
It's me.
Right.
Although, as a matter of mental health awareness, being bipolar does not mean you beat up your family members.
Exactly. It's a very
something
important
else.
Now, that's what I wanted you to hear. I don't know who this particular anchor's name. I don't know what his name is, but I want you to hear what he said let me let you.
Being bipolar does not mean you beat up your family members. Mental health awareness, being bipolar does not mean you beat up your family members.
Exactly. It's a very important
something else going on here.
All right, Jericka, thank you.
He said as a fact of mental health awareness, being bipolar does not mean that you beat up your family members. He said there's something else going on here. So even that man recognizes, because he's not falling into this white supremacist tenet of you protect whiteness at all costs. You understand what I'm saying? And you protect whiteness even when you know whiteness is wrong, and you try to find excuses for what whiteness has done, even especially if whiteness has done something to somebody that's non-white, especially somebody black. This man is letting you know, no. It's more going on here. This is not about bipolar. There's more going on. And the more that's going on is this dude tried to kill this woman. But again, I want y'all to notice that they won't show his mugshot. They will not post up his mugshot. And 2, he shaved his head just prior to attacking her. That's no coincidence. That's no accident. That's not something that just happened. That wasn't the sign of the beginning of some manic episode or anything like that. This whole thing was planned. He had this whole thing planned down to knowing that he needed to shave his head, to knowing that by the time the police got there and by the time he went to court for whatever, because he probably thought he was going to be going to court for killing her. Because his intention was to kill her. And she talks about, in this interview, she talks about how calmly he went back in the living room to sit down to finish eating his dinner. And she talks about how he treated the cops so much differently than the way he treated her. So if it was a manic episode, when the cops got there, he kind of snapped out of it a little bit. And remember, we've already reported that this man has a history of violence, and he also has a history, you understand what I'm saying, of not complying with the police and not doing what he's told with the police when the police come, based on based on some of his violence. We already talked about the episode that he had back in 2015 in LA. So he has a pattern of this. But anyway, let's go back over here to the article. This Jericka Duncan, the woman that was interviewing her, asked her this: do you think that Chad's behavior is directly connected to a mental health issue? Duncan asked. To be honest, I don't know. He went and ate dinner after doing this to me, and he didn't take the same approach with the cops as he did with me, Taylor responded. And then it goes on to talk about how she felt about going to court, because she was in court that day when he pleaded not guilty. And she talks about making sure the reason why she showed up in court was to make sure that she didn't let him think that he had that kind of power over her, and that she was not going to defend herself, and she was not going to make it that easy for him and his legal team. So I'll have this article as well as the video of the interview down in the description box. But I want to ask y'all something. I want to ask y'all if y'all remember the situation. I think it was the summer of 2019. It was either the summer of 2019 or the summer of 2018 when the Austin Shedfield dude, remember the Austin Shedfield dude, the white dude, attacked that young black woman outside of that club about, I think it was like 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And he beat her up real bad, threw her phone and all of this. remember, by the time he got to court, remember, he had shaved his head. Because remember, he had all of that long hair and all of that. And by the time he made it to court, he had shaved his head. So this whole head shaving thing, all of that was a part of his plan. This was a part of his plan because, like I said, he may have thought he was going to end up being arrested or end up having to show up in court or whatever from killing her, because his intention was to kill her. Okay? So he wanted to make sure that the head was shaved. He wanted to make sure that all of that grungy looking, dirty looking hair was gone. He didn't want that image of him put out in the media and put out to the masses. So that's the reason why he shaved his head, got clean cut. You understand what I'm saying? And now the image that you see of him sitting in the courtroom is this clean cut white man. You understand what I'm saying? All that hair is gone. He doesn't even look like himself, and you know, with the tie and the suit and all of that. That's the image of him that you see now. That's the reason why they won't post that mug shot. You understand what I'm saying? Because that mug shot shows him, you know, right after he's arrested. Now the head was shaved, but it was right after he was arrested. You know, it's very, very possible that there could have been some blood on him somewhere. We don't know, but you know, it shows that it may show that you know, he was kind of angry, or the after effects of him being angry, or whatever the case may be. But the picture that they want to present to you now, of course, is this clean cut, well shaven white man, you know, dressed up like business and all of this, sitting in the courtroom. That's the picture they want you to see. They don't want you to see all the other pictures that we see of him floating around on the internet with all of this long, grungy looking hair. That's not the image of him that they want to present. And he knew that. That's the reason why he shaved that head before he attacked her. He got that head shaved and got that clean cut look and all of that before he shaved her. And of course, we already know that he already had his defense already in place. You know, a manic episode, he bipolar. You understand what I'm saying? I don't really remember what happened. That type of thing. That's meant to be his defense. But make sure that you don't miss that part about him shaving his head. With all of this hair that she said he loved so much, he would never even consider shaving it. He refused to cut the hair and all of that. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you done shaved your whole head. You didn't just cut your hair. You shaved your head. And there will be pictures in this video of them together, and pictures in this video of him in court and how he looked with his head shaved and all of that. And we see all the different wigs and all the different hairstyles and everything that she had throughout the relationship. You'll see them in the video. You'll see them if you go on Facebook. If you go on the internet to see the different pictures of them together and all of that. So why they throw this janky wig on her that they throwed on her for this interview, I don't know. You know, maybe it's because they still have to check her for the concussion, you know, and she still has so many medical issues going on that they didn't want to play around with her head too much. Maybe that's the reason why. But that's the thing that struck me the most about this interview and about her saying what happened was the fact that she said all of a sudden she received a text message from him that he had shaved his head. Had cut off all his hair. Not just a little trim, not just take a little bit off the sides, not just take a little bit off the back or whatever, but no, you know, not and just go down to a conservative hairstyle. No, dude shaved his head, which changed his appearance 100%. So when you look at him in that courtroom, see, that's the reason why they don't want you to see the mug shot with him with the haircut. Because they don't want this haircut, this clean shaven young man. They don't want him associated with the young man that did this, with the young man that tried to kill a woman. Choked her until she was unconscious twice. You understand what I'm saying? And then stood and looked at her and said, oh, you still alive. See, they don't want that mugshot associated with the young man, the clean-shaven young man that you see in court. That's the reason why they won't post that mugshot. So see, when you see him in court and you see all the pictures of on the internet floating around of him with all that long grungy hair, when you think of the Chad Wheeler that did this to Alleah Taylor, you think of that dude with all of that long grungy looking hair. That's who you think about. You don't think about this clean shaven man that's sitting up in the courtroom, because they don't even look alike. They look like two entirely different people. So he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly the effect that it would have by him shaving his head. Same thing with that Austin Shedfield dude that I'm talking about back in Texas, that beat up that young black woman so bad. Same thing. When you looked at his original pictures and then looked at him after he had got clean shaven and had cut the hair and all of that, they didn't really even look like the same person. So the pictures in this video that you will see of him in the courtroom, he doesn't even resemble the Chad Wheeler that we're used to seeing with all of this hair flowing down, and most of the time he been on the field, so he's sweaty and it's pasted all and plastered all to the side of his face and all of that. He doesn't even look like that dude. They look like two entirely different people. So when you look at the dude that's in the courtroom, you got to stop for a minute and think, wait a minute. This is the same dude that did this, that, and third. Because at first, your brain is telling you, wait a minute. Is this the same person? Because they look nothing alike. Is this the same person? So he knew exactly what he was doing when he shaved his head. That's the effect that he wants to have. That you can't mesh the two. And somehow or another, you can't see this dude with this clean shaven bald head. You can't see him the same way you see this dude with all this long grungy hair, all sweaty and pasted to his head and all that. You can't see him the same way. And remember, it's from the masses. It's from the general public. That if he goes to trial, you understand what I'm saying? It's from this pool that the jurors will come from. And there's no way that they can't say that they didn't see this story, that they haven't heard about this story, that they didn't see pictures of him and her together, they didn't see pictures of him with all of this long hair and all of this kind of stuff. They can't say that they didn't see it and that they didn't know about it. So in their minds, they're going to have to constantly keep reminding themselves that this clean-cut, clean-shaven white man that we see before us is the same one that used to have all of this long, grungy hair and beat this woman to this extent. So he knew exactly what he was doing. It was all a part of his plan. He was going to change his entire appearance, which would affect everything. And then on top of that, his defense was going to be this bipolar mess and that, he had a manic episode or whatever. But that bipolar, manic episode stuff never stopped him from playing football. And this interview is also not something that mainstream media is doing a whole lot of talking about. They're not doing a whole lot of talking about this. You know what I'm saying? It's not being widely disseminated. Nobody's knowing. If my subscriber Jackie M hadn't pointed it out to me, it probably would have been a couple of more days or maybe even another week before I realized that she had done this interview. And she's not backing down. At least not right now, she's not. So understand, that's the main thing I want y'all to take from this. Understand that this whole thing, this whole scenario with him cutting his hair, then him going in acting like he done flipped out, telling her to bow down, and all of this kind of stuff, all of that was planned. Because his plan was to murder her. He intended to take her out. And she just wouldn't die. See, that's something that we didn't know. That's something we hadn't heard about, him shaving his head just before the attack. And you will see a front-on face of him in court, a front-on picture of him in court. And even with the mask on, it don't look like, I mean, you know, you can just tell it. It's not, there's nothing that would say Chad Wheeler. Because maybe I think his most distinguishing attribute, his most distinguishing characteristic was all of that long hair. So in essence, he knew he was just going to have to become another person. And the first step to that would be to get rid of that hair. That hair that made him stand out. It was that hair that made him stand out. So he knew he was going to have to get rid of that first and foremost. Because he couldn't wait to shave it after the attack. He had to do it before the attack. But no, none of this had anything to do with a manic episode. This was a man's plan to kill a woman. This was a white man's plan to kill a black woman. And you notice you're not hearing anything from Me Too. Now all of this going on, this man done just about killed this woman. You understand what I'm saying? She got to lay up in the hospital. She got to have plates and steel boats and all of this kind of stuff in her arm for the rest of her life. You understand what I'm saying? You can look in her face and her eyes and still tell that she was badly beaten. But Me Too out here running around talking about T.I. and Tiny and Soulja Boy. Me Too ain't opened their mouths about this. We have not heard anybody in the government, Biden and Harris, as much as they claim they love black women, and black women are the backbone of this, and black women are the backbone of that, and black women are so powerful and so wonderful and so great. We ain't heard none of them say nothing in defense of this black woman. We have not heard anybody in the government say anything about a war on white supremacy. But they out there trying to act like all of a sudden there's some kind of racist war against Asian Americans. And I'm going to have to parrot what Tariq and Jason and all of them have been telling you guys. I want y'all to pay attention. Stay out of these Asian beauty shops, these beauty supply stores, these nail stops, these Asian nail shops, these Asian restaurants. Stay away from these Asian folks. Because they are going to use that memorandum for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. They are going to, and giving them special protections and all of this against racism and xenophobia and discrimination and hate crimes. They are going to use that against black people because they have already started trying to build the narrative that is the amount of hate crimes against Asians is on this great rise, and it has risen 1,000% and all of this. They already trying to put that narrative out there, and they already trying to blame it on black folks. So they will use that memorandum to attack black people. And to be able to charge black people with hate crimes and all of that kind of shit against Asians. So learn how to do your own nails. Learn how to cook your own Chinese food. You understand what I'm saying? Go find somebody black to do your nails. Go find somebody black to get your weaves and your bundles and your wigs and all of that kind of stuff from. Order it online or whatever. But you need to stay away from these Asian folk. because they are working with white supremacy now to target us. They're a little shook and a little scared to come out with something directly targeting us. So now they're going to work through the buffer class. So they're already trying to set up this scenario where black folks are starting to plan and plot more hate crimes against Asian Americans. But when white folks do something against Asian Americans, you don't hear anything about it. You understand what I'm saying? The white boy and the Asian boy just started that fire that burnt up that whole Congolese family. Ain't nobody, I think it was Congolese, Senegalese, one of them, whole family of black folks, and ain't nobody talking about no hate crimes. Every crime that is done, what these race soldiers do to black folks, killing them in the streets, going in their homes, killing them, and all that, those are hate crimes. But you notice nobody is ever hit with a hate crime against us. So you got to watch it. You got to be careful. You got to watch yourself. You got to pay attention to what's going on. And these are the people that come in our communities and get rich, build their economies off of our money. And then they turn around and they work with white supremacy to target us. So we're going to have to get in the mindset of not paying for our own genocide. That's basically what we're doing. We paying these people and we building their economies so that they can then attack us. So it's almost like you paying the army that's going to turn around and wipe you out because that's their goal. So find somebody. If you can't do your own nails, if you can't do your own hair, or if you can't cook your own Chinese food, or whatever the case may be, find somebody black who can. And support somebody black. And leave these Asian folks and these Asian businesses alone. Because again, mainstream media is already building the narrative, already putting it out there that hate crimes and discrimination, harassment, all of that against the Asian community is on the rise and it's coming from black folks. Now, when they doing it to black folks, ain't nothing said by nobody. Beating up black women in nail salons, beating up black women in hair supply stores, shooting black girls in the back of the head. Peter Liang killed Kai Gurley as a police officer, just killing black folks. Ain't a word said. It's time for us to think about our survival. And stop trying to be all-inclusive and think about our survival. Because these other groups ain't all-inclusive. They think about their groups and they think about their group's survival first. And it's time for us to do the same thing. So just understand, this man, just like I already said, this man was not in the throes of any kind of manic episode. You understand what I'm saying? This man had planned this whole thing out. He had got away with it one time before. Back in 2015. Okay, he was ready to get away with it again. And he had already plotted and planned out exactly what he was going to do. And now he's standing up in court after all of that apologizing and all of that coming on Twitter and social media and all of that with all that fake apology and all of that. Now he's standing up in a courtroom looking like a totally different person, pleading not guilty. So that's what I wanted to bring y'all. I just wanted to bring y'all this information. Bring y'all the opportunity to go and see this video, this interview for yourself. Read this article and pay very, very close attention to what she has to say and how he flipped the script on her all of a sudden and all of that. Like I said, it's kind of funny after 6 months you talking about going home. So evidently y'all was living together. So, you know, what that whole dynamic is, I don't know. But anyway, all of that ain't got nothing to do with the fact that he tried to kill this woman. And again, like I said, where's Me Too? Where are all of these organizations that are supposed to be about protecting women? You understand what I'm saying? Again, where's the Biden-Harris administration when he's talking about upping the Violence Against Women Act? But ain't nothing being said about this. Why? Because this is a white man. And what did I tell y'all? The first tenet of white supremacy is to protect whiteness at all costs. So y'all please like this video. Please share this video. Please have these conversations. Please get down in the description box and listen to this interview. Read this article. And again, have these conversations on social media, off social media, with your family, your friends, all that. Young black women who are in relationships or with white men or non-black men or whatever, and somehow or another you have allowed this whole divest movement and all of these folks and these black feminist women and all that to somehow convince you that white men or non-black men will treat you so much better than black men. Keep your eyes and your ears open, because a man is a man, and if he's toxic, his race has nothing to do with him being toxic. So don't get caught up in the hype. Don't get caught up in the bullshit like she did. Like assuming that just because she been with somebody for 6 months and they hadn't argued, you understand what I'm saying, that somehow, you know, she had won some kind of prize. Well, she found out what kind of prize she had won. Because she probably had bought into that bullshit too, that, you know, black men treat women worse than anybody else, treat black women worse than anybody else, and that you need to go date outside your race to find somebody that's really going to treat you good. So she probably thought she was getting that good treatment because she'd been there for 6 months and they had argued. Well, she found out. He went from not arguing to damn near killing in the space of a few minutes. He went from not arguing to damn near killing. So just be careful of that. Be mindful of that, and be mindful of this bullshit that they handing you. That you know, the only time you're gonna have trouble in a relationship, or the only time, you know, you're gonna be hurt in a relationship or mistreated in a relationship or whatever, is when you're dealing with a black man. That's bullshit. And this and other cases of this ain't the only black woman. One white man down here in North Carolina killed his black wife, stabbed her several times and killed her in front of their children. So just know what you're getting into. Just know what you're setting yourself up for. And don't get so caught up in the hype that you don't pay attention, and then it comes as a surprise to you like it did this young woman here, Alleah Taylor. Okay? But remember, no matter what mainstream media tries to tell you, no matter what type of narrative they try to push with this, you know, they're going to try to hide it. They're going to try to keep it low key or whatever the case may be. Just remember, this was not some manic bipolar episode. This was a man that had planned this thing out from start to finish. Only problem is, chick just wouldn't die. He didn't intend to leave a witness to refute anything that he was saying. He meant for it to be his word against his word. But the universe just happened to see to it that she lived. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Thank you, Jackie M, for bringing this to my attention. And hit the bell notification so you can be notified when we upload videos. Y'all get down there, like I said, in that description box and listen to this interview. And again, black women, pay attention. Pay attention and stop buying this bullshit that this United States government and that these white folks and that these white women are handing you. That you know you somehow separate and apart from and above from the black community. Like you're an island out there all by yourself. And that's where they have put you, on an island out there all by yourself, and you got to fend for yourself. Because as you can see, when anybody does anything to you, unless it's a heterosexual black man, if anybody else does anything to you, you basically on your own. Now, if it's a heterosexual black man, they not coming to your defense. They just coming to attack him. It ain't got nothing to do with you. They just coming to attack him. But if it's anybody other than a heterosexual black man that does something to you, you on that island out there all by yourself. All right? Y'all have a good afternoon.